Search goes on in San Francisco for the man known as the Zodiac Killer. The elements involved today included psychiatrists, astrologists, and police guards for school buses. Terry Drinkwater reports.
School children are nice targets. I shall wipe out a school bus some morning, shoot out the tires, and then pick off the kiddies as they come bounding out. That was the threat of the Zodiac Killer. Now, every day, police cars follow the buses which would be likely targets. Officers armed with shotguns take the threat seriously. The psychotic killer has already murdered 5. 1 at a lover's lane near a lake just north of San Francisco. 3 others in nearby Vallejo. The latest, a taxi driver in San Francisco. The Zodiac Killer seems to crave publicity. He sent letters and cryptograms to newspapers and the police, recounting his crimes, threatening more murders, and making Bay Area residents very edgy.
In his violent movements, or rather the violent periods that he has been in, he's an absolutely ruthless, completely merciless killer. He calmly goes about his business of, in one case, telephoning the police, and another tearing a strip off the shirt of the dead body of the immediately killed victim. He doesn't get great excitement over it. He thinks killing is just killing. So somebody like that is going to be a very serious problem for us.
From witnesses, there are 2 generally similar composite drawings. He's around 30, reddish hair, 5 feet 10, crew cut, but not much more than that is known. Today, a meeting of lawmen and psychiatrists from all over the Bay Area. They are weighing advice from astrologers on the theory that perhaps the killer, who calls himself the Zodiac, may be planning his next victim based on astrological signs. Terry Drinkwater, CBS News, San Francisco.
Oh, shit.
This is the Weird Shit Podcast.
Is that a joint?
And I wouldn't flaunt your ignorance.
Logic is an enemy and truth is a menace.
Time since we recorded.
I know, like I've literally spent like the last 2 weeks researching this and going completely fucking insane. Like there's so much fucking stuff to this case that it's like,
how can we tell that you're insane?
Holy shit! I'm not sure. Tell? How can I tell I'm insane? But I mean, I've done. Like, I was like, oh yeah, it's Halloween, you know what would be cool is if I do some, like, spooky stuff, so, like, I wanted to do, like, the Zodiac Killer and, like, Amityville and stuff like that, but, like, I've spent 2 weeks doing just fucking Zodiac research. Like, this is so fucking intense.
Yeah.
What's so weird about a bear?
Well,
that's Zodiac. That's Zodiac. That is a completely different thing.
But they are equally as terrifying.
But they are, equally as terrifying.
Bears will break into your house and eat you alive.
So
this is something that happens on a regular occurrence.
Yeah, no joke.
How many times have you died because of this?
So many times.
It happens all the time.
Happens all the time at Skyrim.
Oh, it's just a bear again. That'll be fine.
In Skyrim, you're like, oh, it's just a bear, that's fine. And then it's like a level 15 bear that like rips you in half.
Yeah.
You're like, shit.
Just tosses you around.
Yeah.
Ragdoll.
So, the Zodiac Killer, or Zodiac, was a serial killer who operated in Northern California in the late 1960s and early 1970s. He's never been identified. He murdered victims in Benicia, Vallejo, Lake Berryessa, and San Francisco between December of 1968 and October of 1969. 4 men and 3 women between the ages of 16 and 29 were targeted.
How many?
4 men and 3 women between the ages of 16 and 29 were targeted. The killer originated the name Zodiac in letters that he sent to the Bay Area newspapers.
No, didn't they just identify the Zodiac Killer recently? As a mainstream American politician?
There is one who has been identifying himself as of late as the Zodiac Killer, which we will get to when I get to suspects.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
we may have cracked this case.
Yeah, we may already know who did this.
All right, sweet.
So
we're gonna Tarantino it.
Record scratch.
It's me, the Zodiac Killer. You're probably wondering how I arrived at this.
And he's like, his dad killed Kennedy or something? I don't know. It's really weird.
Grassy Knoll or something?
So, on December 20th of 1968, David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen, David Faraday, age 17, and Betty Lou Jensen, age 16, were, hanging out at, make-out point, basically.
She looks fucking ridiculous.
I know, that hair, man.
Holy shit.
Cut her some slack, she died.
Yeah.
Yes.
In the 60s. So...
just, her face is too small for
Is that why he was
hair.
killing these people? Because they look dumb?
I mean...
Oh, that dude looks alright. He just has a Hitler haircut.
Wait.
So David Faraday, and Betty Lou Jensen, ages 17 and 16 respectively, were parked in a gravel parking area along the remote Lake Herman Road on the eastern outskirts of Vallejo, California. They were necking and making out and stuff, right? And,
Boinking.
all of a sudden,
How do you neck? What's necking?
I think those are one of the creatures from Witcher. The
They're
Witcher
just
series.
they're just rubbing their necks on each other. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's
That's
what
the
giraffes
stuff.
do. Look at her neck. She could probably neck.
If anybody
could neck, she could probably neck.
Yeah. Her face is just too small.
I feel like this has to be photoshopped. There's no way that's a real picture. That's just driving me crazy. So, according to the police report, the victims were
Is that
apparently...
a before or after photo?
I can't tell. So
She did that 23andMe thing where you send in your DNA and it came back 50% giraffe.
So, according to the police report, the victims were approached while they were in Faraday's station wagon, getting it on. Shots were fired into the vehicle.
You look like a giraffe.
Force them out. To force them
Shots
out.
fired.
It was the 60s. Maybe he was just tripping and thought that guy was making out with a giraffe in his car.
He's necking a giraffe.
He just thought it was an abomination against God. So shots were fired into the vehicle to make them get out of the vehicle. And Jensen.
Wait, they shot into the vehicle.
Yeah, the guy
As a
shot
warning,
into the vehicle.
Get out!
There's a giraffe in there. I'll save you.
He's like, I got a fucking gun. Get out of your fucking car, and shoots into the car. So he forces these 2 kids out of the car, and Jensen, Betty Lou Jensen, she got out from the front passenger door first, and then Faraday followed her. And as soon as David Faraday got out of the car, he gets shot right in the head, immediately. He was shot once in the head at point blank range, and died within minutes. Jensen was then shot as she ran away.
What was the caliber?
One.
The caliber of the weapon was a .22 caliber semi-automatic.
Yeah, that's
pistol.
what I was thinking. That's the only way he could be dead within minutes.
Yeah.
Not just grip
Yeah,
loaded.
it's what the fuck?
Yeah. The ammunition was Winchester Western Super X copper-coated long rifle. There was no indication of robbery or sexual molestation. Nobody saw anything. Some vehicles were seen in the area prior by a woman named Stella Borges. Before she found the crime scene.
Got killed by the fucking Borgias.
What?
What they don't tell you is it was just some poachers.
Oh, this is even worse. So it was the first date that Jensen had ever been allowed on.
Oh no.
And the crime shocked the community.
And the parents were just like, you see? That's why.
Well, you know,
and now that guy runs fucking what is it, the Center for American Values, or whatever the fuck it's called. Guaranteed.
Yep.
Guaranteed. The shooting could not be explained by either of their families, and everybody was like completely dumbfounded because these kids just went out to have a good time.
And they never got answers.
Yeah, and they ended up dead.
Until the dude ran for president.
So, allegedly. So, the next victims were Darlene Elizabeth Farron, age 18, and Mike Renault Magoo, age 16.
Killed Mr. Magoo?
Were they naked?
Yeah, Magoo. They were in the parking lot of a secluded Blue Rock Springs Park on the eastern outskirts of Vallejo, California. So,
were they naked?
Yeah, probably.
Dude got with an older chick.
Yeah. Nice.
Coogan. He was out there Coogan.
Out there Coogan with a 18-year-old at 16. So,
Cougar versus giraffe.
So, Darlene Farron was married and worked as a waitress at Terry's restaurant. Majot was like a laborer.
Can't believe you killed Mr. Magoo. Kind of a sick son of a bitch.
At first, they thought the woman's husband was the guy, but he was ruled out once they found out he was working as a cook at Caesar's restaurant at the time of the murder. Her first husband, James Philip Crabtree, was also briefly a suspect. And Majot actually ended up surviving the attack. Yeah,
Mr. Magoo is alive.
Apparently, Darlene Farron was shot. Oh, she was 22. She was shot 5 times.
Jesus.
And Mike Majot, age 19, was shot 4 times. This time, though, it was a 9mm semi-automatic pistol. And there were no witnesses, no indication of robbery, nothing like that.
Wait, did he not see the dude?
According to Majot, he and Farron had parked at the isolated location to talk, and then they see a car, which he described as maybe a light brown Ford Mustang or Chevy Corvair, like pulled up in the parking lot, like a few feet away from them. And he saw a man with a flashlight get out of the car and like come up to them. There's no other cars in the parking lot. He thought it was a cop because he sees the flashlight.
Yeah.
So he's like, they started pulling out their IDs and stuff because they're like, shit, we got caught like banging in this parking lot.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Talking.
So
they were caught talking.
Yeah, talking in this parking lot. And without warning, the guy just starts fucking shooting him. Just like immediately starts shooting at him. After 5 shots were fired, the guy walked back to his car, and Majot, after like the guy walked away, Majot lets out like a because he just got fucking shot. Guy comes back and shoots him again. He fired 2 shots into each of them after that.
Wow.
After like Majot made a sound, which is amateur hour. It's amateur hour. If you get shot by a serial killer, don't say anything.
Yeah.
If you're shot, you pretend to be dead.
Yeah.
You never make a sound.
You hold
ever.
that shit in.
Yeah, I'd be like, nope.
You better just text it. Just be like,
Just post it on Facebook.
I just got shot.
Just like type an ARG on Facebook.
Don't at me.
Like, he gets the notification on his phone, it's like, he's like, the guy comes back and shoots him twice. At this point, was when Majot got a good look at him. I'm assuming it's Magoo. It's Mageeau. Would that be Magoo or Maggio? Maybe maybe it's Maggio.
I'm pretty sure that's Magoo.
Yeah, I think it's Magoo.
Magoo.
Or are you sure it's not Maggio? Like,
yeah, that's what I said. Maybe it's Maggio or
Mahjong?
I don't know how to pronounce the dude's name. I feel real bad about it, but
Magoo. How do you spell it?
Mageeau. So Mahjong ends up surviving, and when the guy came back to shoot him 2 more times, he got a good look at him, and he said that the man was white, 5'8" to 5'9" in his late 20s to early 30s, stocky build, round face, and brown hair. He said that they didn't talk to the guy, nothing.
I feel like he did a better job of getting a description as he was being shot than like any other description I've heard.
Right?
It was so vague, but he's just like sketching him. And he's getting shot.
It's like drawing him like out of Titanic or whatever. Like, well, he's like laying in his.
He's just got like paper over his face. And
this guy was fucking
he's
clutch.
Like taking some graphite and tracing him.
Like Michaud was fucking clutch.
Yeah, it was.
About 45 minutes after the attack, the Vallejo Police Department received a call from a man claiming responsibility for the attack.
Was it ISIS?
This is Osama bin Laden.
How do you think the man was able to kill these people and get away with it?
It is only through Allah.
through jihad.
So
I like how he knew his description super well. Like, yeah, he was about 5'8.5", maybe 5'8 3/4", somewhere in there. Like,
yeah.
Between 29 and a half and 30.
He's laying on the ground.
Yeah.
5'8", 5'9". Yeah, that sounds about right.
So, the Vallejo Police Department ends up getting a call from somebody who's like, yo, I just killed 2 people, like, out at, like, this location or whatever. He said that he identified the weapon used as a 9mm, and he also took credit for the Faraday Jensen murder. And for the next few weeks, the investigation went nowhere. Then on July 31st, 1969, letters were sent to the Vallejo Times-Herald, San Francisco Examiner, and San Francisco Chronicle. The letters claimed to be from the killer of Faraday, Jensen, and Farron. Details were included that only the killer could have known, and each letter contained 1/3 of a cipher that, if solved, the killer said would have his identity in it. While the killer hadn't yet given himself the name Zodiac, this marked the beginning of his letter writing that he'd keep doing for more than 5 years.
Wow.
No one's cracked the cipher?
Yeah, I'm actually going to read you guys one of his letters here. So his letter to the Chronicle went, Dear Editor, this is the murderer of the 2 teenagers last Christmas at Lake Herman and the girl on the 4th of July near the golf course in Vallejo. To prove I killed them, I shall state some facts which only I and the police know. Christmas. 1 brand name of ammo, Super X. 2. 10 shots were fired. 3. The boy was on his back with his feet to the car. 4. The girl was on her right side, feet to the west. 4th of July. 1 girl was wearing patterned slacks. 2. The boy was also shot in the knee. 3. Brand name of ammo was Western. Here is part of a cipher. The other 2 parts of this cipher are being mailed to the editors of the Vallejo Times and San Francisco Examiner. I want you to print this cipher on the front page of your paper. In this cipher is my identity. If you do not print this cipher by the afternoon of Friday 1st of August 69, I will go on a kill rampage Friday night. I will cruise around all weekend killing lone people in the night, then move on to kill again, until I end up with 12 people over the weekend. So he sent that to the San Francisco Chronicle.
That's got to be pretty horrifying.
Yeah, like, could you imagine, like, just some poor schlub working in a newspaper and, like, you're like working in the fucking mailroom, like opening letters, and then you get that, like,
Yeah.
it's like, you better print this on your front page, or else I'm gonna murder a whole
people are
bunch of
gonna
people.
die.
Yeah, like, I can't even imagine. I'd fucking piss my pants.
Yeah.
Immediately. I wouldn't even see him.
Wouldn't even question it.
Wouldn't even question it. Zodiac was super into his own brand, because he kept writing letters like this all the time. Like,
So like it seems like all this was about the fame, because he's not like a pleasure killer. He just like walks up to people who are vulnerable, shoots the shit out of them, and then he's like, all right, now I'm gonna be famous.
yeah, he like bounces. He
Yeah.
like walks up, kills them, and bounces. Like, and on August 4th of 1969, he sent a letter to the San Francisco Examiner, and this is the one that they found fingerprints on, and it's also the letter where he first gives his name. And he says, "Dear editor, this is the Zodiac speaking. In answer to your asking for more details about the good times I've had in Vallejo, I shall be very happy to supply even more material. By the way, are the police having a good time with the code? If not, tell them to cheer up. When they do crack it, they will have me." On the 4th of July, I did not open the car door. The window was rolled down already. The boy was originally, he spelled originally wrong, sitting in the front seat when I began firing. He spelled firing wrong, too. When I fired the first shot at his head, he leaped backwards at the same time, thus spoiling my aim. He ended up on the back seat, then the floor and back, thrashing out very violently with his legs. That's how I shot him in the knee. I did not leave the scene of... He spelled scene wrong. I did not leave the scene of the killing with squealing tires and racing engines as described in the Vallejo paper. I drove away quite slowly so as not to draw attention to my car. The man who told the police that my car was brown was a Negro. Whoa! Hold up.
What does that have to do with it?
About 40 to 45, rather shabbily dressed. I was at this phone booth having some fun with the Vallejo cops when he was walking by. When I hung the phone up, the damn thing began to ring, and that drew his attention to me in my car.
So he's watching this guy just walk past him, gives a worse description than the guy being shot.
Yeah. He's like watching the fucking Zodiac talking on the phone and gives a worse description than the guy who was shot, like, fucking, like, over and over.
Like, come on, man.
He says, last Christmas, and he spells Christmas wrong again. In that episode, which he spells wrong, the police were wondering as to how I could shoot and hit my victims in the dark. They did not openly state this, but implied this by saying it was a well-lit night. I could see the silhouettes on the horizon. Bullshit. That area is surrounded by high hills and trees. What I did was tape a small pencil flashlight to the barrel of my gun. If you notice, in the center of the beam of light, if you aim it at a wall or ceiling, you'll see a black or dark spot in the center of the circle of light, about 3 to 6 inches across. When taped to a gun barrel, the bullet will strike exactly in the center of the black dot in the light. All I had to do was spray them as if it was a water hose. There's no need to use gun sights. I was not happy to see that I did not get front page coverage.
You said, what about the coverage?
He's like, I was not happy to see that I did not get front page coverage.
Yeah, so he's just like killing people until he gets the amount of fame and recognition that he wants.
Yeah, he's like pouty about it.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you guys did put me on the front page like an ass.
Yeah, so I'm gonna keep killing people.
I'm leaning pretty heavily towards Ted Cruz so far.
I agree, yeah.
Or Trump.
Yeah, I could be. I don't know. I mean, the misspelling of words for sure.
Yeah. Can't spell Christmas right.
I feel like Trump would have immediately been caught, though.
I know. He'd have to tell everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
And the letters wouldn't be enough. He'd have to, like, put a giant T on every one of the victims or something.
Well, he did.
And that'd be like...
The Zodiac symbol's a T with a circle around it.
Mother of God.
It was Trump.
Holy shit. Just crack this wide open.
Who started the Ted Cruz rumor is probably Trump.
Yeah.
It's all disinformation.
Yeah, he's trying to throw us off the trail.
Smoke and mirrors. Trump, you wily bastard.
I'm on to him. I see what he's doing.
You son of a bitch.
San Francisco was terrorized in the late 60s and early 70s by a man who called himself the Zodiac Killer. He claimed 37 murders. Police confirmed at least 6. 4 years ago, the killing stopped, and so did Zodiac's letter. Now there's another letter. For that, Tom Shell.
San Francisco police displayed a blackboard with excerpts of the latest Zodiac letter at a news conference last night. Police are convinced it's authentic. Deputy San Francisco Police Chief Clem D'Amica said it's the 16th letter received from the Zodiac Killer and the first since 1974. Letter number 16 has breathed new life into the investigation of at least 6 murders blamed on the Zodiac. Old files will be reviewed again. For the last 9 years, the Zodiac investigation has been headed by Homicide Inspector David Toski.
I have always felt a gut feeling that he was not dead and that he was out there somewhere and that he would communicate. I was always hoping that he would communicate and not commit an act. A letter I can handle.
The latest letter from the Zodiac poses more questions than it answers. Questions like, why has he only communicated twice in the past 9 years? Has he killed in that time? No clues in the latest letter. But more importantly, who is the Zodiac and where is he? Tom Shell, ABC News, San Francisco.
So about 6:15 on p.m. on September 27th of 1969, it was a Saturday again, in Lake Bervessa near Napa, California, Cecilia Shepard, age 22, and Brian Hartnell, age 20, were relaxing on a blanket in like a remote location by the lake, probably making out again.
Naked.
When suddenly Cecilia Shepard looks up and she sees a man approaching them with a weird costume and holding a gun.
What kind of weird costume?
So this guy is like, I don't want to be that guy. This is kind of fucking rad. This is the guy's costume. What it looked like, right?
Looks like some sort of crazy cultist.
Look at that shit. Now, hang on. Let me pull up.
It looks like a death trooper.
Yeah, like this guy was so into his own fucking brand. This is the shit that he was wearing, according to the witnesses. He has like a squared off like hood thing over his head, like a bib with the Zodiac symbol on it, and like black gloves and like fucking goggles like built into his hood. Like, that's kind of fucking metal.
It's pretty metal.
No, like, I like, not to, like, geek out about this, but, like, when I saw that, I was like, that is fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, that fucking guy just comes walking up to you while you're at a fucking picnic.
And you just see that he has a gun, like, right there.
Yeah, like, this dude comes walking up to you with a gun while you're, like, at a picnic with your girlfriend.
I'm gonna assume one thing immediately. Chaos cultist.
So, he appeared to be more than 6 feet tall with a heavy build. The man claimed he was a prison escapee from Montana or Colorado and needed money and a car so he could flee to Mexico.
Huh.
Hartnell offered his wallet and keys, which weren't taken. But after several minutes of conversation, he's like, all right, look, you, Cecilia, tie him up. And so she ties him up with, like, cord. She ties up her boyfriend with cord. And then he tied her up. And then after several minutes of conversation, the couple were tied up with plastic clothesline, and he just starts fucking stabbing them.
Jesus.
Hartnell was attacked first, then Shepard. Basically, he fucking stabs Hartnell 6 times in the back with a wooden-handled knife and a blade approximately 10 to 12 inches long.
Holy crap.
So he's fucking stabbing these people with a, like, fucking chef knife.
Yeah.
And he ends up stabbing Cecilia Shepard 10 times. 5 in the front and 5 in the back. There was no indication of robbery or sexual molestation. There were no witnesses. After the assault, he just walks away. Like, just casually walks away. And after several minutes, Nearby fishermen heard the couple screaming because they're still alive. Like, they've been stabbed so many times, they're just bleeding out here, like, and he just left them to bleed out. By the time help arrived, Shepard and Hartnell had managed to get themselves untied.
Wow.
It took nearly an hour for an ambulance to arrive, at which time both victims were in critical condition because,
Yeah, I was surprised they weren't already dead.
And just over an hour after the attack, the Napa Police Department got a call from a man claiming responsibility from the stabbing. It was traced to a phone booth in downtown Napa, and they got fingerprints off the phone.
It's from some black guy, though.
Yeah, they thought they came back as being those of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar because they're assholes. The call was quick.
For real?
No, Napa County Sheriff's Department deputies
Will
were responding. To the crime scene. They found that the attacker had written a message on the victim's car door. So, like, after he fucking stabs these people, he like writes on their car, and the message included the dates of the Faraday Jensen murders and the Farron Maggio attacks, and was signed with the circle and cross symbol. Tire tracks indicated the killer had parked behind their car. Size 10.5 Wingwalker shoe prints were also recovered, indicating a suspect weighing more than 210 pounds. Detectives later located 3 young women who noticed a strange man in the general area just a couple hours before the attack. Unfortunately, Cecilia Shepard ends up dying within 48 hours of the stabbing.
Yeah, 10 times stabbed.
Yeah, 10 times. Hartnell managed to recover, and he's now an attorney working in Southern California, which is fucking boss of him. That guy's tough as shit.
Yeah. Man, does he have some stories to tell.
Yeah, for real. Like, dude, I would have been so fucking terrified if that guy showed up.
I'd probably be a lawyer too. You know he's never going to lose a fucking case.
Yeah. I mean, what's he got to be afraid of anymore? This guy got stabbed 5 times by a serial killer.
He's just up there, like, giving his final statements to the jury. I remember when I was stabbed by the fucking Zodiac Killer and survived.
You fucking pussies.
No, I was just like nodding, like, yep, he's right.
But yeah, like, fucking Zodiac is just getting more and more fucking swagger, like, by this point. Like, he's like, he's turned into a Batman villain. He's putting on the costume. He's fucking calling the police.
Before I put on the symbol.
He's like calling police. He's like, fucking like, I killed them bigly, and no one could do anything about it. Now I will go home and drink my Kofifi in peace. They're like, like. What?
Hashtag sad.
Fake news. That's why he's so mad at the news. They didn't give him front page coverage. He said that before. It's a vendetta he's had for years. Holy shit. He's trying to make people blame Ted Cruz for no fucking reason. Ted Cruz did nothing wrong.
It's all misdirection.
Well, other than being a generally not so great human being.
Other than being Ted Cruz.
Other than being Ted Cruz didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
He definitely wasn't the Zodiac.
That was fucking Trump.
That was Trump.
Allegedly.
Breaking this open. Yeah, allegedly. Very allegedly. I cannot stress how allegedly this is. This is so allegedly that if you walked up to me and you said, Mike, is Trump the Zodiac Killer? I'd be like, what? Huh? Allegedly.
But look at my eyes.
But if you could see my eyes right now, you would understand how fucking serious I am. Allegedly.
I don't believe you.
So, on October 11th of 1969 was a Saturday. A cab driver named Paul Stein, age 29, was hailed at Mason and Geary Streets, with the intended destination being Washington and Maple Street near the Presidio. For reasons unknown, he actually ended up at Washington and Cherry Streets, a block away from the original destination. His wallet and keys were taken, and a large portion of his shirt was torn off. bloody fingerprints, potentially of the suspect, were recovered from the vehicle. According to police documents, a pair of men's size 7 black leather gloves were also found. The three witnesses watched the suspect from approximately 60 feet away as he wiped down the cab with a cloth after killing Stein. They called the police and described a white male, 25 to 30 years old, 5'8" to 5'9", stocky build, reddish-brown hair worn in a crew cut, heavy-rimmed glasses, and dark clothing. They last saw him casually walking north on Cherry Street. Unfortunately, the police dispatcher mistakenly described the suspect as being a black male adult.
Come on, man.
Because I guess it's just like a natural instinct for police dispatchers to just be like, black!
They can't, I mean, they have to say it.
Black!
They have to say it or they pass out.
It was a black guy. As a result, when patrol officers Donald Fook and Eric Zelms...
Fook you.
Minutes later, observed a white man walking east on Jackson Street. They didn't stop him. They saw a guy, like, matching the description, like, go walking, but they're like, nah, that dude's white. He didn't do it. So, the officers did get a good look at him, though. And once the correct description of the suspect was finally broadcast, the cops were like, fuck. Because they realized they totally probably fucking saw him.
They're like, are we racist?
No. It's the newscasters who are racist.
A search of the area where the man had been observed was conducted, and they didn't find anything. The man seen by Fook and Zelms was similar to what the witnesses said. They're like, he's 35 to 45, 5'10", and between 180 and 200 pounds. Barrel-chested with light-colored crew cut hair and wearing heavy glasses. They said he didn't appear to be carrying anything, and no conversation between the man and the officers took place.
What does barrel-chested mean?
It's like wide, broad-chested, like that guy from The Shield. He would be barrel-chested.
I didn't watch that show.
Chiklis or whatever.
Michael Chiklis, yeah.
Yeah, what's
It's like an old-timey tough guy who's fat, but also they're kind of big, so you're not sure if you should be afraid of them, but you err on the side of caution until they, like, take their shirt off. And
Alex Jones. Alex Jones is barrel-chested.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're like kind of person that could hit you hard if they could catch you.
But they won't.
They won't.
They'll be too winded. So after the murder of the cabbie Paul Stein on October 13th of 1969, he ends up sending another letter to the San Francisco Chronicle. And the letter reads, "This is the Zodiac speaking. I am the murderer of the taxi driver over by Washington Street and Maple Street last night. To prove this, here is a bloodstained piece of his shirt." And the dude literally mails them a piece of the cabbie's shirt. Because remember, the police said that they noticed that the shirt had been ripped off the cabbie. He says, "I'm the same man who did in the people in the North Bay area. The San Francisco police could have caught me last night if they had searched the park properly instead of holding road races with their motorcycles," which he spells wrong, "saying who could make the most noise. The car drivers should have just parked their cars and sat there quietly waiting for me to come out of cover. School children make nice targets. I think I shall wipe out a school bus some morning. Just shoot out the front tire, then pick off the kiddies as they come bouncing out." Signs it Zodiac. With his little cross symbol there.
That is horrifying.
That's fucking scary, right?
I feel like somebody probably could do quite easily.
Yeah. So here's the thing. He goes on to keep writing more and more letters to the Chronicle all the way until he disappears in April 24th of 1978, which was the last one he ever sent, which said, "Dear editor, this is the Zodiac speaking. I'm back with you. Tell Herb Cain I'm here. I've always been here. That city pig Toshi is good, but I'm smarter and better, and he will get tired, then leave me alone. I'm waiting for a good movie about me. Who will play me? I'm now in control of all things. Yours truly, Guess." And then he signed with the Zodiac thing. That was the last letter he ever sends. This guy keeps sending letters for like 5 fucking years, but he never killed anyone else, as far as anyone knows. The cabbie was his last confirmed victim.
Really?
Yeah.
That's strange.
But what's weird is there's also a lot of possible victims, and when I was
none that he took credit for?
Yeah, none that he took credit for. Well, here's the thing. Zodiac, in his letters, he started taunting police with shit like Zodiac 10, San Francisco PD 0. Or Zodiac 12, San Francisco PD 0. Like, shit like that, but no other victims were showing up. Zodiac 13, San Francisco PD 0.
So he was trying to give them the idea that he was still killing, but not telling them who anymore.
Yeah. Zodiac 17 plus, San Francisco 0.
So basically he gave them a whole bunch of chances to catch him and tips on how to catch him, but they didn't. And they were fucking up his coverage, so he just kept killing people. And it was just sending them this horrifying tally.
Eventually, the highest number he ever claimed was 37.
Wow.
He's like, I killed 37 people, is what he says, right? But the thing is, maybe he was like a drifter killer or something, right? That's one of the theories, is he could have been like some sort of drifter killer who was just kind of going from town to town, shooting people. But like, he was really concentrated in the Bay Area for quite a while.
Yeah.
So that seems
weird.
It seems iffy.
Because they wouldn't really change their MO like that usually.
Yeah. My personal suspicion is that he was probably arrested because he was still writing letters, but no victims were showing up.
Yeah.
So to me, it seems like he would have been sending letters. Like, you can send letters from prison or send letters from jail. Like, even if you sign it the Zodiac, it's not like in the 60s they're cutting open all your mail, right? Like, I think you could probably slip it out to somebody and be like, hey, can you mail this for me or something?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Like, because most of the time serial killers don't just stop killing. BTK did it, but that's like super rare. But he also could have just relocated.
Sure.
And started going somewhere else.
Yeah.
But, so what do you guys think of the Zodiac Killer so far?
Super interesting. I can see why it's such a famous case.
Yeah, like, I've been fucking sunk in this for like 2 weeks. Like, it's just sucked me in.
Yeah.
Like, there's just so much to it. Like, all these possible victims. Yeah. Like, the most interesting possible victim to me is Sherry Jo Bates, because he actually writes in a letter about her. Like, he had sent in a letter. Let me see if I can find it here. It was April 30th of 1967. It said, Bates had to die. There will be more. Z.
Huh. So he said that. But
he never claimed credit for her other than that letter.
Right.
So it's weird that later he just like forgets about her and every other letter he's doing his tally. He's like, oh, I fucking killed that couple here and that couple here, but he's not like, I also killed Sherry Jo Bates.
I don't know. It's strange that he would give such specific and accurate, crime scene descriptions and have pieces from his victims, and then he would just switch so drastically to the most vague that you can get and just say numbers.
Yeah. The scariest thing to me about Zodiac, right, is the fact that he just changed his MO. Like, he had no MO. He just liked killing people. So, the first, like, he shot people with a 22, and then he shot people with a 9.
Yeah.
Then he shot them, like, then he stabbed the other couple. And then
he doesn't seem too concerned that they're actually dead. Like, I mean, he attacks the crap out of them, but at the same time, just sort of leaves them.
Yeah. He, leaves them to die.
Yeah.
He's, just, so much fucking rage is what it seems like.
Yeah. But also it seems like he really wants to get out of there as soon as he can. Yeah. And that's why sometimes they're still alive.
Maybe he's a public figure of some kind.
Yeah.
Maybe he is a certain
figure.
Heir to someone who gave him a small loan of $1 billion not long ago. who doesn't want his public persona known. But either way, we're going to get into that more next week when we get into the suspects on this case. And the suspects, I am going to fucking tell you guys right now, there is a lot. There is a lot of shit to this because it's never been solved.
We're all suspects.
Yeah. I don't trust anybody born before 1969.
Prove
to me that you were not the Zodiac Killer. If you were born before 1969, you could have been a baby. You could have picked up that gun. You could have been a heavy baby. There's heavy-ass babies born all the time. I don't know.
You don't even know.
I don't know who you are. I trust nobody right now. It's been 2 weeks I've been digging into this, and I'm losing my fucking mind.
Could be Snips.
Snips, you better not be the Zodiac Killer.
Meow.
He says he's not. So, Ryan, you got any shout-outs this week?
My shout-out this week is sort of relevant. That show Mindhunter
Uh-huh.
on Netflix. Super good, very interesting.
Yeah?
It's got some serial killers in it.
Heard it has Ed Kemper in it.
It does have Ed Kemper.
This is fucking dope.
Yeah.
Bumblebutt himself.
That's right.
So,
highly recommend it.
You got any shout-outs, Palmer?
Sergio's Pizza.
They're pretty dope.
Sponsor us.
Sergio's, give us a sponsorship. We love your pizza. It is delicious.
What's your shout-out?
My shout-out this week is to South Park, The Fractured Butthole. A lot of fun. Like, whenever I needed to, like, decompress from all this fucking Zodiac stuff, I've been, like, trying to turn it on. And the combat system's way better. The story's hilarious. Get to make your own South Park kid, which is always fun. So, it's a fucking blast. I definitely recommend it. So, I guess next week we'll be back with Zodiac Part 2.
The Reckoning.
The Reckoning / The Suspects.
The Suspecting.
The Suspecting. That's fucking perfect. Good night, everybody. Man, that episode was dope. You know what else would be dope? If you guys told us your paranormal stories. I know some of you have seen ghosts, some of you have seen fucking UFOs, some of you have seen Bigfoot. If you write into us, we have an email. It is weirdshitpodcast@gmail.com. We really want to read you guys' emails. If you want to just give us a shout out, you can give us a shout out. We'd love to hear from you. If you want to record a voice message, I want to start putting voice shout outs at the beginning of every episode now. So if you send us those, that would be fucking dope. We have the Google Voice number. If you'd rather call up and leave us a voicemail, you can tell us your story that way. Send us some positivity, man. Keep the positivity coming. It's the number for that is 919-346-3071. That's 919-346-3071. We also have a Facebook group, the Weird Shit Podcast official Facebook group. We're on there all the time. We're posting memes. We want to talk to you guys. Fucking tweet at us. Fucking Facebook us. Fucking email us, man, because we love to hear from you and we want to keep doing this forever. Hey everybody, Mike here. I just want to take a second to talk to you about our Patreon we have set up at www.patreon.com/weirdshitpodcast. Basically, Patreon is a way where fans and listeners like yourselves can choose an amount every month to donate towards the show. Your donations will be put towards buying new equipment. It'll be put towards buying munchies because fucking Palmer is insatiable. It'll be put towards helping us pay our dues for hosting the show and for keeping the websites going. And honestly, the main thing it'll help us do is let me take more time to do more research on these topics. I have a full-time job. I work 60 hours a week, and then I spend 40 hours doing research for you guys because I love this show and I want to give you the best thing I possibly can. So if you have anything you want to give us, if you think we deserve anything for that work, feel free to go to Patreon and donate whatever you can. If not, man, it's cool. Like, I love every single one of you, and I'm so glad you're listening. Just share the show with whoever you think would be interested, and we'd love to hear from you. Thanks.
Hey everybody, this is Steven.
And this is Chris.
And we're the hosts of the brand new podcast, Is This Adulting?
Every week, we're going to sit down to have a discussion about life, culture, our own mental health struggles, and just about anything you can think of.
Have you ever wondered which breakfast cereal's the best?
Or how to help your friends who are dealing with mental illness?
Or why waterbeds were a thing?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, then have we got a show for you.
And remember, kids, be happy, stay healthy, and go hug someone.
Because you never know. They might just be starting a podcast.
Hey guys, it's Lainey, host of the True Crime Fan Club podcast. If you're a true crime addict like I am, then my podcast is for you. It's a podcast for the ultimate true crime enthusiast, giving you a glimpse into the life and crimes of the most demented minds. You won't want to miss an episode.
Do you ever wonder how folk art museums in Utah are connected to erotic Renaissance literature? Did you know a turkey puppet ran for the presidency of Ireland? Do you get in trouble at work for clicking through article after article out of pure boredom? Well, hide in your headphones and let us tumble down the digital rabbit hole for you.
We are the Wiki Ship Down podcast. We live in an age where the sum total of humanity's knowledge is in your pocket on a smartphone at any given time. But when that knowledge is peer editable, what does that say about mankind? I'm Ryan.
And I'm Ruth Ann.
And join us as we hit the random button and dive into the depths of Wikipedia.